Happy holidays from BizzyWeb. This is Dave Meyer, and delighted to have you here as we cover our year in review on this 17th of December 2014. We're going to cover a bunch of stuff today. I wanted to get right into it. First, we'll go into a little bit about us, and I'll cover some brief details on admin stuff, on how to get in, how to connect with us, and how to ask the right questions or get your questions answered. Then we'll go right into the 2014 year in review. We'll do how we do, because I have a BizzyWebinar back from January 8th, 2014, where we covered my predictions, and I'm going to do that again as our next BizzyWebinar, which will happen in January. And then we're going to go into details on other news, other things that have happened over the past year that I thought were interesting and noteworthy, in particular for BizzyWeb's clients and for folks that are interested in online marketing. Just a brief programming note: if you are attending the webinar today, the best way to get in and interact with us is to click on the headline at the bottom here. We have a few viewers already, so thank you all for joining us. I'm going to refresh this one so that you can see where we're at. And what you see here is you're going to see a link to the Google Hangout. If you would like to actually ask us questions live, you can do that here. And we've got free tech support available after about the halfway point in the event today. So that's how you're going to get in there and ask us questions. Or you can go to the Google Plus page, and if you click on this Google Plus page here, it'll take you right in to the actual event. You'll note that there's a Q&A button right here. If you're logged in, you'll be able to click on that button. You'll go from there to this page. And I'm going to click pause right here so you don't have to hear me twice. But then you'll be able to ask questions by just typing in this little box down at the bottom. So ask a question here. So I'd love to get your questions. I'll be checking those as we go through, and that's how we'll keep everything up to speed. So would love to have you ask us questions as we go. This is going to be a high-level overview of the best things in tech and social media, and so excited to share that with you today. All right, so what we do, of course, at BizzyWeb is we're an online marketing company that focuses on WordPress-powered web design and all things online marketing, including social media integration and connections, online advertising, search engine optimization, and a number of other things in our Buzz Builders program. Hang on to the end of the event to see more details about that. We also do social media creation and integrations. So if you haven't, one of the big things that I'll talk about today is that all of the social networks have upgraded their look and feel over the course of the year. So if you haven't touched the design of your Facebook page or your LinkedIn page or your Google Plus page or what have you, you're going to want to refresh and revisit that, because everything has kind of changed. And in general, everything now looks a whole lot more like Facebook. So let's jump into our 2014 year in review. We've got a lot to cover and not a whole lot of time to do that. It was a big year. You know, in general, as I talk here, the things that seem to come out in 2014 are, you know, just lots of kind of connections and lots of new movements into evolving directions for online marketing. You know, nothing massive new came on the scene. You know, there were a few new technologies. Ello came on the scene and started coming on as a competitor sort of to Facebook, but almost as a social statement against Facebook and the advertising practices. BizzyWeb had a very big year, of course. We now have a headquarters. We're based in Champlin, Minnesota. And if you are in Minneapolis, we'd love to have you stop by, or if you're in the Minnesota area, we'd love to have you stop by and visit. We have a wonderful training facility where we give these busy webinars every week. And we've got sponsorship space and availability for all of our partners and clients. If you have an event that you'd like to host, we'd love to have you here. And we just have a fantastic team and a fantastic space to help our clients and to help us generate buzz. So we'd love to have you here for that. BizzyWeb also had a couple of new hires this year. So thanks and welcome to Andy on BizzyWeb's team. Michelle is brand new on the team. Kevin started this year. We have Jen, who started at the end of 2013, so this was her first full year. And everybody else, I believe, has been with us for a good long while. So to all of those folks and to everybody at the BizzyWeb team, we're delighted to have you with us, and thank you for a wonderful year. All right, so let's talk about the big four and what we saw in social media. If you watched the webinar back from January 8th, or if you'd like to play it back, we gave a bunch of predictions, and I'll be doing the same thing for 2015. But here's what we thought about the big four. So Facebook, our prediction in January was that Facebook was going to struggle with the cool factor, and that they'd probably move a little bit towards mobile in the things that they do. Well, yeah, the big deal with Facebook this year was that they split Messenger into a completely new app, and they forced everyone to download it. So if you had Facebook Messenger and if you wanted to get out or interact with Facebook without having to load up a different app, this year was kind of a disappointment for you as a Facebook fan, because everything changed, and now you have to have that separate application open. There was actually a lot of information or concern around the Facebook Messenger app, and the fact that some of the tinfoil hat crowd were thinking that Facebook downloads all of your information, turns on your camera, spies on you in your sleep, and steals your cookies. But turns out that none of that is really true. And in fact, as usual with Facebook, they made a big overstep, and then they took 2 steps or 3 steps forward as far as invading our privacy, and then they took 2 steps back. We're still a little worse off than where we were. Facebook does know where you are, and they use that information in a number of different ways, but they don't generally share that information. They just use it to tailor your advertising and your connections. The other thing that happened with Facebook that I don't mention on here is that Facebook now has a much more aggressive tracking mechanism via their Facebook graph search. And so you'll find that not only the websites that you like, or the pages that you like on Facebook, or the people that you connect with on Facebook are showing up, but you're also seeing your advertising on the side of the Facebook window show up in much more targeted formats. So if you're clicking on links, especially inside of Facebook, either mobile or on the PC, you'll note that all of your content is actually being tailored toward what you're connected with. So it's gauging what the content of those posts is, and then it's using that to proactively kind of guess what you're interested in and then deliver content to you that you're interested in seeing. So that's the idea anyway. One other big piece of news that I did not write down is that just recently, about a week ago, Facebook dropped Bing search from their results, and they're actually focusing on a new search tool to deliver more relevant results inside of the Facebook world and not drive anyone outside of the Facebook universe at all. So Facebook is sort of delivering and creating their own search engine, which sort of puts it in competition with Bing, of course, and certainly Google. But it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. With just over 1.5 billion people on Facebook, about 200 million of those in the US, Facebook is still the social media juggernaut. This is where everybody's spending all of their time, and it's still a huge gainer as far as what's happening online. By some predictions, Facebook actually saw more visits and traffic than email this year, but that's only counting out all of the spam messages, because of course spam is bigger and better than ever, or worse as the case may be. We also mentioned that there is going to be more focus on revenue and ads, and in fact we did see that pay out, because the organic share of links, so if you have a company page on Facebook, it used to be about 40% of the people that liked your page would see that content on any given day. Now it's hovering right around 3% of the people will see your posts whenever you publish them. Facebook claims that this is due to a massive increase in the amount of information, but skeptics would also point out that they have a lot to gain with advertising, and so decreasing the amount of times that your content is seen for free kind of means that it's the end of the free ride for marketers on Facebook. If you want to see your information get consumed on Facebook, the good and the bad news is that you have to grease the skids a little bit. The bad news, of course, is that you have to pay it all, but the good news is that you get to be laser focused in who you reach, and so the ability for you to reach out and connect with people and to hit exactly the right target market has never been better than now with Facebook. And I would say, as far as actual targeting of specific types of people, Facebook is probably going to be your absolute best bet to reach the exact types of people that you want to reach. Google advertising, some of the other social networks in their advertising, you can drill down and connect with types of people or geographies, but nobody does it better than Facebook, because really Facebook knows more about you than anybody else if you're active on the tool. That's not necessarily a tinfoil hat kind of overview, but the fact is we share a lot on Facebook. People know, or Facebook knows a lot about you, and especially as you search through, or as they're looking at your online behavior and tracking you, they can see and they know that you're interested in gardening or health and fitness, or that you just moved, or that you just got engaged, or that you just separated and now all of a sudden it's complicated. So it's a great way to reach out and connect with people. So how about Twitter? Twitter is, of course, continuing to see a big proliferation. I'm almost calling it the public utility of the web now. You'll see hashtags everywhere. So I thought that Twitter would struggle with promoted tweets, getting revenue without having them spam, and that was probably my biggest upset with Twitter this year. It just got silly with the promoted tweets and the things that were going out. Folks that are marketing, it's not really a huge thing yet where people are promoting all over Twitter, but it's not taking off as a platform. Twitter's not doing as well as they could be, but you do see hashtags everywhere as you look around, and certainly Twitter is continuing to extend its reach and its legs into everything that you do online. So just like with Facebook, Twitter actually went through a major redesign to look more like Facebook. They've added on images, they've added on videos, and they're continuing to dig a little deeper, not seeing quite the results that they've seen in the past, but again, that information is out there, and they're starting to at least move towards monetization a little bit more. I thought that business accounts would allow multiple users to manage a single account right inside of Twitter. You can sort of do that now inside of the mobile app, where more than one person can log in from that account, but that just didn't happen. There's not a Twitter for business, and you don't have Twitter business pages yet. That's one of the things that I would hope for in 2015, because certainly Twitter needs to continue to compete with all the big social networks. And really, the three other big competitors that I would call with Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google+, all allow you to tailor your business page separately. And so I would say that that's still one of the things that Twitter needs to crack in order to be completely effective in the enterprise and to make that available. So that's our big stuff for Twitter. Google+, I thought would get even bigger. We thought that Google+ would take off like a rocket, because they were integrating with all of the Hangouts, with Google Voice, with a lot of the other things, and kind of converging everything. And as it turns out, Google+ has sort of kind of fizzled a little bit. To the naysayers on Google+, that's not really a big surprise. But for us, we were really hopeful that all of these amazing tools that Google makes available to us, including things like Hangouts, and the new proliferation or integration between Hangouts and Google Voice, would actually help out quite a bit. Of course, businesses can add a Google+ to their websites and integrate those websites. One of the big things that came out this year on the Google side was Google My Business, which allowed you to basically connect everything in your business world together, including looking at reviews from outside of the online world. So you can see reviews from Yelp, Foursquare reviews, and a few other companies, and watch those reviews right inside of your Google account. It's not perfect yet, but they are moving forward in that, and it certainly lets you connect and provide more guidance to Google on how you want to be presented, what you want to have seen in your banner ad place or in your hero spot, and what works for you as an organization. So it's for a lot of our clients that have had problems historically in getting their physical location listed correctly on Google+, the new Google My Business has been a godsend because it literally allows you to grab your flag on Google and drag it to where it really belongs. So we've seen a lot of great changes inside of that. I thought Google would allow some sort of an integration with Google Voice as far as Hangouts. And yeah, that sort of happened, but it's still not as perfect as it could be. And if you want to know where Google is going, look at Google Plus, and that's the vision of where the web's going in the next couple of years. Sort of, Google My Business is again leaping Google ahead as far as being helpful to businesses, and that makes a lot of sense because most of their revenue comes from advertising from businesses. But Google Plus is losing some steam. Vic Gandatra formerly of Google left, and that was Vic's primary purpose in life. He created Google Plus, and he was the champion. So it's kind of left without a rudder, Google Plus is right now, and so I would hope to see some additional impact or input from Google in the next few months. LinkedIn had a very big year. LinkedIn did fantastic. I thought showcase pages would really take off, and instead, LinkedIn has kind of been struggling with their company pages and their showcase pages in particular. For those who haven't checked out the BizzyWebinars about LinkedIn and specifically company and showcase pages, the company page on LinkedIn is really a great way for you to specify and provide more information about your business in a way that's publicly searchable without needing to have the people that are connected to you, or without needing to have people that are searching be physically connected to you on LinkedIn. So in general, especially depending on how your privacy settings are set, if you're not linked in with someone, they can't see your information or information about your company. With company pages, you just go to linkedin.com/company and you can fill out your information, details about your company, and then what's most exciting for us is that you can take content from your website and auto-publish it using the tools that BizzyWeb has at our disposal to your LinkedIn company page and your LinkedIn showcase pages. What happened instead of widespread proliferation on this is that LinkedIn sort of doubled down on content and came out with a new, frankly very impressive blogging tool to more or less compete with Tumblr and other text-based content tools. It allows you to publish content into the LinkedIn network via your personal profile and have that information get published. Bad news for us is that doesn't necessarily work with your auto-publishing tools or with the tools that we already use, but some of our clients are seeing really good results by publishing to their LinkedIn profile over this new publishing platform. So works pretty good. The blogging platform is decent, but again, I'm looking for more details in the next year, and again, not going to prognosticate too much here, but I'm hopeful that LinkedIn company and showcase pages will get some more meat on their bones and get more proliferation and use in the coming year, because they haven't really taken off yet. Other predictions as far as what I thought was going to happen this year, I was pretty sure that video sharing was going to be a breakout year. While YouTube did see, of course, a lot of great connections and a lot of great growth, especially with Google My Business and the integration between Google Hangouts and Google My and Google or YouTube channels. We haven't seen a massive breakthrough in video other than as embedded into existing tools. As you look at Facebook now, when you're scrolling up and down in your timeline, video auto plays as you're scrolling up and down, and so Facebook is becoming one of the largest delivery vehicles for video alongside YouTube. Instagram had a very, very big year, and as a matter of fact, there are now more active users on Instagram than there are on Twitter, but Instagram is owned by Facebook. So Vine, I thought, was going to be a pretty big breakout, and the 7-second video thing just hasn't really caught off. I mean, there are certainly a lot of users on Vine, but it hasn't become the existential juggernaut that a lot of the other organizations, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, have really become. So we'll see what happens with that. But right now, I think video is still in a very big growth mode as far as what we're going to deliver and what we're going to see. Image sharing I thought was going to grow because Flickr had just announced a new application and unlimited files or unlimited pictures, up to 1 terabyte of storage for everyone. And you know, it's been okay, but Twitter, or Flickr in particular, hasn't really taken off a whole lot further. It's still kind of stuck under Yahoo's wing, and it's struggling to continue to be relevant. They've created beautiful new tools, wonderful new stuff out there that's available to help you share and use your imagery, but Google has Auto Awesome now with their Google Plus account, and while very powerful and very amazing, with Google Auto Awesome, when you upload multiple images from a burst mode shot, for example, or a lot of images that are close together in timing, the options that Google offers you are they'll automatically create animated GIFs. And YouTube, in fact, has just announced a brand new tool to allow you to create GIFs based off of your YouTube video content. You can use your YouTube editor and create that. And as a matter of fact, if you just type GIF at the end of the video extension in your YouTube embedded video, it'll automatically create a GIF for you that you can link to. But you know, all of that stuff is sort of still in development. So again, look for image sharing and GIFs and other things to kind of continue to mature, and I predict that 2015 is definitely going to be another breakout year for all forms of multimedia. The other things that we saw, and in particular images and video, has become bigger than ever on Facebook and Twitter. With the Twitter redesign that happened this year, they put a lot more focus on imagery, and anything that you publish from your Instagram account, your YouTube account, your Facebook account, if you link back to your Twitter account, those images do show up in your timeline and show up on the side of your profile so that you can see that. Same thing with videos. And you know, it's just a lot more accessible via the tools that you have now across all networks. But Flickr I thought was going to be big, turned out not to be all that huge. Still hopeful because it's the granddaddy of image sharing on the web, but we'll see what happens. And I'll talk about MP3s and podcasting next month as we talk about my predictions for 2015. But you know, all multimedia is still very much in a maturation phase where things are starting to grow. I thought personally that HiveMind was going to go mainstream, so Reddit, Metafilter, you know, some of the bookmarking sites, Tumblrs, all that stuff were going to get really, really big. And as it turns out, they're continuing their social importance. But Reddit in particular, over Celebgate, created a pretty big backlash against Reddit. And for those not familiar, basically Reddit, in one of their subreddits, leaked a bunch of images of naked celebrities that had evidently been poached off of social engineered hacked accounts in Apple. So anybody that had an iPhone, they specifically targeted and called up Apple, went through a bunch of password reset requests and other things, got access to accounts, logged into their iTunes and their iPhoto sharing accounts, and grabbed a bunch of images that they had snapped on their mobile devices and made those available. Several hundred pictures were leaked of several dozen prominent figures, and turned into bad news. Now, the promising part of that was that the backlash was fairly negative against these folks. In past years, I don't know if it would have been that big of a deal, but all of a sudden, the world seemed to grow morality, where we thought, well, this isn't cool, and why are we invading these people's private lives? And all of a sudden, everybody was stomping on that versus celebrating, oh boy, we got these new wonderful naked pictures of stuff. So that was definitely a step in the right direction as far as what we expect in the humanity of the internet. But we're still struggling with how to connect and how to maintain and manage all of our personal and private information. Which leads me to what else? You know, Foursquare and Swarm did split up, and I, along with probably the rest of the world, could no longer care less about Foursquare and Swarm. In my opinion, Foursquare had a really good thing going, and then about the middle of the year, they decided to break into two applications, one that did all of the really fun stuff, all of the check-ins and all of the connections, and one that kind of went in as a direct competitor to Yelp, although without the ability to check in. So they took something that was frankly pretty neat, I thought, decided that they needed to monetize it even more, so they split it into two things, and pretty dramatically failed in both counts. Foursquare is useless to me now, at least, and because there's nothing to do inside of there. The social gaming and the gamification of Foursquare, the ability to be a mayor and do a bunch of other things like that of specific locations when you check into them more than anyone else, was all lost. And Swarm kind of turned into a halfway kind of sort of implementation of what Foursquare's check-in functionality used to be. Some privacy implications inside of Swarm, where Swarm now knows wherever you are and broadcasts that to everyone on Swarm. So I've personally pulled back quite a bit. Can't say that I don't still use it, just out of habit, but it's certainly lost a lot of its shine. WordPress has gone through a bunch of updates and integrations. Media editing and actually editing your posts has become easier than ever. There's a bunch of really good new additions, including the ability to drag and drop imagery and multimedia into your WordPress posts by just literally clicking on your desktop and dragging it into the WordPress window. There's some new streamlining that's happened with the editing tools, and your edit window will now dynamically resize to help keep your authoring activity as simple and streamlined as possible. But I'd say next year we're going to see a lot more changes still. Mobile became a very, very big deal in 2014. Mobile responsive is the new currency of web design. If you're not building your website almost mobile first, you're losing. And that's been one of the recurring themes for all of our clients, where they're realizing that their websites don't look good on mobile devices. By some accounts, 80% of searches are originated on mobile devices now, and so you're missing out on 80% of that search volume if you don't have a website that's designed to look great and interact and give people what they expect when they're browsing on their iPhone, Android, Windows Phone, or what have you. So it's been a big deal. The course, or the kind of matter of course with all mobile responsive design, is that you don't need to have a mobile version of your website anymore, because your website recognizes the width and the technology that your visitor is viewing your website on, and will automatically tailor and resize your images or your content to fit that medium. So for us, for example, if you go to BizzyWeb's website on your iPhone versus on your website, you'll note that on the PC, our website is traditionally sized. It's got 3 columns across the middle with different widgets across the middle in a wider kind of format. But then when you get down into the iPhone version, that version is all 1 column wide. The phone number is prominent on that page, and everything else is resized so that you don't need to pinch or zoom to get at your content. And when you click on the phone number, it actually dials up and opens up the phone app in your mobile device. So it works very, very slick. And of course, with all of the proliferation of tablets and the fact that everybody's doing things on different devices and directions now versus just PCs, we've seen a lot better integration and a lot more options as we've looked forward. Of course, Apple built a bigger iPhone finally, and that new iPhone 6 Plus, while tends to be a little bit bendy if you sit on it pretty forcibly with a pair of tight pants, it's turned out to be kind of a middle device, and the larger device has turned into softer sales in iPads themselves. But they also came out with some pretty slick new technology like the iPad Air 2 and the iPhone 6, and soon to come the Apple Watch. And so as we look at that, in addition to Apple Pay and moving mobile payments via device into the mainstream, where Google Wallet had struggled for years, and the mobile chips, the IFC chips, have been experiencing issues for years and trying to gain traction. All of a sudden, now that Apple is in the game, we're seeing a lot of proliferation, and people are all asking for it and trying to use it. So everybody that had that little Wi-Fi looking symbol on any of their cash registers, all of a sudden they're trying to use them now. And so we're seeing some integration and some usefulness in the mobile device space as far as using your device to grow or to pay for products and services. So even more reason to have your mobile website or your website become mobile friendly. And of course, I did just mention smartwatches a little bit, the Pebble Watch, the Android Wear, and now, of course, the Apple Watch that's not even out yet, but has really kind of jump-started the conversation around what a wearable device is. All of those devices are proving that you don't necessarily need to carry a phone with you at all times, although most of these devices are directly tied to a mobile phone. You're all of a sudden seeing an entirely new format. And so we'll see where that goes with web design and how the truly micro screen, like the less than an inch or two on a device, is going to move the design world. But look for multiple platform designs as we continue to move forward. So that's kind of a high-level overview on what I've seen. I don't see any questions yet in our feed, and we have a bunch of viewers. So if you haven't had a chance to ask those questions, again, just go into our Hangout or go into the BizzyWebinar. If you're watching this embedded from the screen, just to hit the escape button to get back to the regular screen, click down and click on the Hangout page to join us, and we'd love to talk with you and answer your questions. There's a lot of really cool stuff that has happened this year that I didn't get a chance to go into, and these are truly the big ones. Didn't get a chance to talk about any culture, or the fact that Frozen seemed to have took over the universe, and all of the civil unrest and the things that have happened kind of over hashtags, and the people being able to connect and share and express their displeasure or outrage in sometimes about what's happening. The fact that the world is now driven by people that have computers in their pockets and can shoot video and interact and post things at a glance or within a breath, all of that is changing the way the world is working. So, this mobile device, the fact that we all carry computers in our pockets, is really changing the way communications and especially marketing is happening. And that's what I think happened in 2014. So we'll talk about a couple other big things, but net neutrality is really under attack. There were 3.7 million comments to the FCC, and the final decision is due early in 2015 on net neutrality. For folks that are uninitiated on net neutrality, this is the concept that the internet should be a free market and neutral to anyone that visits. So it doesn't matter if you're a brand new business with zero budget that has just created a website, or if you're Comcast, a multi-billion-dollar organization that owns TV networks and is trying to connect. Opponents of net neutrality believe that there should be internet fast lanes, and that if you pay for it, you should be able to get access to better internet. What that's going to do is stifle creativity and stifle the democratic nature of information. Unless you're very wealthy, you're not going to be able to push your content out to the people that need it most. And so the fact that it's taking away the level playing field that is the internet is a very dangerous precedent. And so if you haven't spoken out about net neutrality, if you haven't expressed your opinion while the public comment phase is over, make sure that you're keeping an eye on net neutrality as a hot topic, because that's going to be one of the big issues and has the potential to be a very big loss in the next year if it doesn't go the right way. You'll start to see creativity and innovation in sharp decline as people with the biggest budgets are pushing their agendas versus people with the best ideas. So I'll get off my soapbox on that, but Gamergate kind of came out and kind of revealed the ugly underbelly of the web. The feminist movement and the fact that all people really are equal and should be treated as such is coming very much into the limelight with this. There's a lot of ethics in journalism issues and questions that have been raised on both sides of this argument, and folks that are involved in the gamer community are taking offense and umbrage to being called out on overtly sexist undertones or the way online video games tend to predict and present the female form. And so people are coming under attack, and people are on both sides kind of casting stones and doing just terrible things as far as spreading nasty rumors about each other and doing all kinds of other stuff. So Gamergate is probably going to continue. It's been going on, this whole, if you're interested, just Google or search on Twitter with Gamergate, the hashtag, and you'll see all kinds of vitriol about people that are very upset with each other because this is just kind of a movement, and everyone's taking notice that we probably either shouldn't be overtly sexist in everything that we do, or from the other side of that perspective, people should be able to enjoy their entertainment as they see fit, and the fact that everything doesn't have to be incredibly PC probably has some validity inside of the world, but we need to figure out ways to make that work. And again, I'm trying to relay these from a journalistic perspective and relay both sides of the argument, but it just kind of is what it is, and so Gamergate's kind of a deal. Security has become a massive issue, and everyone has gotten hacked this year, it seems. Target, Home Depot, Sony Pictures all suffered massive, incredibly high-level and high-impact breaches. Cost Target its CEO and several $billion in revenue and losses. Home Depot, same thing. Sony Pictures lost a lot of the information about all of their upcoming movies and lost a lot of valuable trade secrets, and all the way down to the personal information about several celebrities, again, being shared, and this just happened over about the past month. So Heartbleed, Shell Shock, Poodle security issues have all kept IT folks and development, and certainly BizzyWeb's web design and web hosting contingent very busy as new things are discovered, patches are being released. I've had BizzyWebinars about pretty much all of these security issues. It comes down to it that you need to have unique passwords for every place that you spend time online, in particular with all of your financial information or data or anything that stores that kind of information. Get a tool like 1Password or Password or 1Password Pro or any of the other tools that are out there, LastPass, KeepPass, all those others, and make sure that you have unique passwords across everything, because if someone gets access to one of your passwords, they're going to try and get you everywhere else. And if you can be socially engineered or hacked into losing your data, what certainly happened to Matt Honan in his loss of his Apple ID and the shutdown of all of his accounts, including the erasure of his iOS device as he was talking on it. There's broad implications for having poor security, so there's simply no reason anymore to use your password, or no excuse anymore for using a password in more than one place. We run into this all the time with our clients. Just pay attention to security, because hackers are out there, and no matter how secure things get, there's always a way around it. And certainly we've seen that with the NSA, with Snowden, and with a lot of the other data privacy concerns and items that have come up over 2014. General news: Apple of course bought Beats for $3 billion, made it its largest ever buy, made Dr. Dre the richest person in entertainment, or certainly in the hip hop world, and it's been a big year for that type of information or that type of outreach. People are making investments. The economy continues to kind of slumber back to life, and so as we grope around and reach and try and hit the same stream that we saw in the heyday of the early 2000s, and certainly right before the dot-com bust in the late 90s, we're kind of seeing a resurgence and a renaissance of information, and barring some geopolitical crisis, whether ISIS or Ebola or one of those other big issues, global warming, climate change, drastically changing the way the economy works, I think we're set for another very good year coming up in bridging and experiencing new things. So keep your eye out there. Another thing is that commercial drones have become a thing. Everybody's got 4-rotor helicopters, and they're taking pictures, and so security issues, privacy issues, all the way down to people getting in big trouble for damaging national monuments at Yellowstone because their video-enabled drone crashed into a geyser. There's all kinds of crazy things that are coming out there. Technology keeps getting cheaper. All of these things keep getting easier to access, and so we're continuing to see big questions and big opportunities on the horizon for all of these. I personally don't think the Amazon drone delivery service is going to be certainly within my near future, and so I'll be surprised if I get packages delivered via little 4-rotor helicopters anytime soon. But all of those things are kind of on the horizon, and you can see that. There's self-driving cars, there's the proliferation of electronic vehicles. Everything's moving forward, and we keep going forward at an increasing clip. What we're seeing is that the world is full of opportunities. You need to keep your eyes out and watch for trends, which leads us into what to expect in 2015. If you're interested in that, I'm going to cover that on the first Wednesday of the year. I believe that's January 3rd, so tune in for our next Busy webinar for that. We've talked a long time about a lot of stuff here, so I'm just going to skip ahead and close us out. In summary, BizzyWeb does web design that's designed around mobile responsiveness and to integrate with social media. If you need to work smarter, not harder, and get out to exactly the people that you need to reach, please talk to us today about web design. We also do web hosting, and so if you haven't already connected and used BizzyWeb for a web host, especially if you're a WordPress powered website, let us know and we can take care of you. We actively monitor for all of these security issues and make sure that we're patching holes and plugs and keeping you at tip-top shape or in tip-top shape all the time. So if you haven't thought about us in the past, at $25 a month, our hosting packages are fantastic and probably one of the best values on the web, because we also include 3 hours of service and support of real people time with our hosting packages. We also have, as part of our 2014, one of the most exciting things that we came out with is a dedicated package or suite of packages around getting better results online. We have hundreds of clients that have wonderful websites. The question then was, now what do we do? So with Buzz Builders, we have tools and suites of information available to help you grow your business in online marketing in all facets, whether you need to get more leads in the door, whether you need to promote your products and services, whether you're trying to deepen relationships with your customers, or just rank better in your branding. BizzyWeb can help you. Join us every Wednesday. Again, next Wednesday and the Wednesday after that, it's the Christmas and other holiday breaks. So we won't be available then, but stay tuned for that first one in January, and just look at BizzyWeb.com/events to sign up and register for that. And of course, be sure to check YouTube over the next couple of weeks to check out some of our best ofs. If you haven't taken the opportunity to get a buzz report from BizzyWeb, I'd encourage you to check that out. We will look at your website, look at your online marketing, and give you real-world recommendations to do better, more, faster, harder, all of that online. We can help, and we would love to connect with you as a BizzyWeb and BizzyWebinar attendee. Again, I'm Dave Meyer with BizzyWeb. I hope you had a very wonderful 2014, as we all did at BizzyWeb, and our entire 12-person crew here at BizzyWeb wishes you a very happy new year. That's what we'll see you next. Again, I'm Dave Meyer with BizzyWeb. Thanks for joining us, and remember, at BizzyWeb, we help you generate buzz without getting stung. Have a great year.